Chef Sani. I'm a chef, food entrepreneur based in Lagos, Nigeria. So this time we made stir-fried curry pasta and barbecue chicken with our signature spice. And a lot of people really had a good time with our food. And as a matter of fact, Golden Penny is doing an amazing job out there, especially with their spaghetti. A lot of people have been giving good commendations and good commentaries about the food. The idea of giving free food to people just made the event a complete win. Golden Penny served noodles, pasta, semo. My favorite Golden Penny product is the pasta. Golden Penny pasta is, for me, number one. Pounded yam and egusi or efori. So I think I'm a midnight hunger food.
Precious. I'm a content creator, social media manager, and digital marketer. Okay, my favorite Golden Penny product is actually spaghetti. I love spaghetti. Yeah, like stream food from my hometown. Their native soup. That's the molded egusi something soup. Then they have the abacha thing where you get to abacha itself. It's my native food, part of my native food. Then they also have the oha soup. So I'm a photographer foodie. I can stop anything as long as it's food.
The spaghetti. It is slim, it is tasty, and it does well when you mix with spice. Yeah. So I give to the spaghetti 3 food from my hometown: Edika Ikong, Afang, and Banga soup. I am the midnight hunger foodie. I'm a big fan of the spaghetti when it is homemade, and now it is made in intercontinental way. I think I love it. It's really cool. I love it. It was awesome, sweet, top notch. Like, oh, thank you, Golden Penny.
It's the 109th anniversary of the International Women's Day and the very first anniversary of the FMN Women Network. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating gender parity.
So what does the International Women's Day mean to you?
Well, it means a lot to me. It's a day where women are recognized worldwide, and to let the whole world know that we as women, we can make the difference. In fact, we are already making the difference.
I feel ecstatic. I believe everybody's happy. Today is our day. The women are looking beautiful, they are bright, they're happy.
FMN has a culture of diversity, and gender is key in that strategic program. So our women and our men, they offer our strength. What we do is create a platform that provides opportunity for both gender to have equal access to contribute to the growth of our business.
So what do you think the women inside should expect today?
I expect them to be enlightened today, educated by the amazing panelists we have today. We have some wonderful topics that we've picked out.
As he gently rubbed his fingers to illustrate its smoothness. When it was pasta, he said, "I have seen nothing like this before. It's the non-sticky kind."
A lot has happened in the space of 1 year, all aimed towards the achievement of the network's objectives of improving gender diversity, especially at management levels, improving engagement ratings by driving self and career leadership of our women, and the proactive management of gender-related workplace challenges.
Mentoring is very key. You need to find someone who is senior and who has gone through what you want to aspire to become, to mentor.
It's indeed a great pleasure for me and a distinguished honor to stand here as the lead mentor for the Amazing Amazons program. Progress from since we started to now has been refreshing and inspiring. Between January 2018 and now, we've had several mentoring sessions and a women's conference, each designed to provide women with a support structure and coaching as they deepen their careers of choice in FMN.
If there is a word of advice, you have to market yourself more and be very positive about your skills.
When you have jobs that require a skill that is either learned through education or through experience or on the job, I found that speaking up can only come from knowledge.
The issue of gender equality and each for equal should not just be maxims. It is a cause that we all should fight. It is an economic problem that must be tackled head-on, and we must collectively act to see that the world is not just gender-friendly, but gender-balanced.
But when we talk about gender equality, we talk about each for equal. We actually, what every woman here needs is an enabling environment. You know, what tools do I need to deliver results? Because whether you're a woman or a man, you need to deliver results. And that is what will be required of you.
When you catch children young, you can give them a sense of direction. This is by giving them special training or by giving them scholarship.
This is a secret I'll give all of you for free. Package your problems in a corporate way. Sorry, what did I say?
In a corporate way.
Thank you. Don't tell your boss that I want to go and buy tomato and pepper and onions. They know that if he has a wife at home, or if he doesn't have a wife, he has a girlfriend. So the point is, everybody knows you buy tomato and pepper. But you tell them, excuse me, sir, I need to go for market surveillance. Oh.
We are driving a deliberate program to push women into leadership roles in the company. The GMD spoke about one day having a group managing director that's a woman. That's not a paper dream, because we are putting action behind it.
Women, our gender. A round of applause for yourselves one more time, ladies and gentlemen.
First of all, I'm very happy to see such a facility because of the number of people that are employed here. As you're all aware, President Buhari on June 12 made a promise that he would like to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty, and he hopes that that can be done over the next 10 years. Efforts like this go a long way in reducing the number of unemployed people. Furthermore, like I said earlier, Nigeria is desirous of being self-sufficient in sugar. We've been able to do it in cement. We're trying to do it in sugar. So this is part of backward integration. So as time goes on, we are desirous of seeing to it that we don't have to import sugar anymore, that we produce more than enough sugar here for our use and also possibly to export it. Because I want to try and take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area agreement so that we can export to other African countries.
The minister has taken in hand to get his shoes dirty, come out and see what's on ground and for himself so that he can see what's needed to make this a great success sector.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Today, when we say feeding the nation every day, we are really echoing the vision and purpose of the founding father of our company, the late George Stavros Komantaros, whose love for Nigeria still inspires and influences the vast business that the Flour Mills Nigeria Group has grown to become many years after it was first incorporated in 1960.
Fond memories of the founder as it relates to feeding the nation every day. This is something that I think about all the time. This is something that is like a fond memory to us. What was the issue? What was the purpose or vision of our founder? Is to ensure that he puts food on Nigerian table every day. And we continue to sustain that vision with all our activities today and with the basket of products that we have in our staple today.
When I joined, the late Pa George Komantaros was the chairman of the company, a titan that has this huge dream that we are all tapping into now. And after a while, when he passed on to glory, his son, another nobleman, took up the mantle, leading us to breaking more grounds.
Every day, millions of Nigerian families wake up to new possibilities, trusting us to provide them with the nourishment that they need to succeed throughout the day, at work and play. It is a responsibility that we do not take lightly at Flour Mills Nigeria PLC. We work tirelessly and invest heavily in strengthening our footprint across the agriculture and manufacturing sector through the most innovative technologies and best practices so that our products are of the highest quality possible and remain the #1 choice for consumers every time. But through all of this, we understand that the continued success of our business depends on how well we can support and empower our partners. From our suppliers, including several small-scale farmers who grow our raw materials, to our key distributors and retailers who sell our finished products, the rural communities where we site our factories and processing plants, down to the millions of consumers who enjoy our products daily, Flour Mills Nigeria is committed to creating shared values and impacting lives across our operations.
I would describe the relationship of FMN with its customers as family. We are family, but we do not take that for granted. We treat each other with respect, but it is based on that mutual respect, that we really operate and deal with our customers. And today, we think about our core values, which is performance, integrity, initiative, leadership, ownership, and teamwork. So the relationship is defined by those core values, and especially ownership. We look at our customers as those who own the business. They own the business, they are co-owners of the business.
The relationship started 22 years ago. My parents were actually distributors of flour mills as at that time, They were in business with flour mills under the company name Love Investment Nigeria Limited. So I got the inspiration from their business relationship with flour mills. And in the year 1997, I started my own business. When I joined as a small dealer with a capacity of just 5 tons per month. But now the business has grown and we have capacity of hundreds of tons in a month.
The relationship has grown stronger, even the business, through the assistance of flour mill. The business has grown from strength to strength. We've been able to expand into other areas like bakery, bread making, and also transportation to complement our delivery system. So it has grown from where I met it to a very big size now. They've done a lot of contribution in terms of support, giving us ideas, how to sell, and also to move our business very well.
Relationship between FMN and its customer is a family relationship. And when I break it down into two, the relationship between the internal staff, well over 12,000 of them, and our distributor that has developed over the past 5 decades has been closely knitted family relationship based on value and mutual respect and a beneficial business relationship over these years.
The team, they are very wonderful. The closeness, imagine somebody like HOS, Mr. John, we call you to know how your business is going, and at least that gives me joy. To monitor you, they come to your shop 2 days, sometimes every day, to know how your business is going. What is the next way forward so that we'll grow the business, we'll go to the next level. I started with Golden Penny with 1 truck. From 1 we enter 2, from 2, 3, now we can do 10, 15.
They have a listening ear. We go on round table discussion with the management and we address all issues related to their products, which give them an edge over other mills.
FMN has been very supportive over the years. They are easily accessible. Issues are resolved amicably. We have maintained the relationship for this long because we have come to respect and understand ourselves.
For over 50 years, the promise of FMN to its customers has always been quality, consistency, and exceptional customer service. Quality, to me, is non-negotiable. It is a given. So we must ensure all the time that our products meet the quality specifications that we promise the customers and the consumers. We also need to be sure that we are producing that on a regular and consistent basis. That is what will help the dealer and the customers and also the consumers to be happy. It will help them to be comfortable with whatever they see as Golden Penny. They will know that Golden Penny means quality, consistency, and of course, we support our dealers with exceptional customer service. That is the promise, and we continue to keep that promise. We have kept it for over 50 years, and over the next 50 years, we are going to sustain that.
The market has been changing, and there's a saying that says, in an evolving market, you don't want to be a static organization. And if you look at Flour Mills in terms of its leadership, in terms of its composition, in terms of the talent we have, in terms of the brands we have, in terms of the attention we have paid to innovation as far as this business is concerned, we have been ahead of the curve in terms of what we've done. We clearly understand what the market dynamics are. We studied market dynamics, and how it applies to each of our categories has been the key innovation core that we've been able to move ahead of time to address, and alongside with our customer as well. And that's exactly what sustained the future of this business.
The FMN promise to our dealers, and really, whether you're one of the founding fathers or indeed the founding mothers, or you're a newer member of the Golden Penny family. Our commitment is to deepen and to develop the relationship that we have now and long into the future. And it starts here and now. It starts with the forum, and we're all committed to writing another special chapter for FMN and our partners.
Our continuing passion for creating delicious meals, enhancing better livelihoods through active collaboration with our partners, and ultimately promoting the economic well-being of the millions of Nigerians who interact with our businesses every day is what Flour Mills Nigeria is truly about. Because we know that this is the only way that we can truly secure the future of our business. Flour Mills Nigeria, feeding the nation every day.
Introducing a new look for the FMN website. Enjoy a seamless online experience as you rediscover our wide range of products. Explore to discover cool new features. The new FMN website is mobile friendly for easy access on your smart devices. Connect with us via multiple channels to experience our robust customer support system. Stay up to date with direct news from our team and media diary. Want to explore more? Visit us at www.fmnplc.com. FMN, feeding the nation every day.
Flour Mills of Nigeria represents more than its food products and facilities. For 6 decades, we have consistently created opportunities for Nigerians. Flour Mills of Nigeria, celebrating 60 years of feeding the nation every day. At Flour Mills of Nigeria, our focus is on feeding communities, innovation, and the future. This has been our mission over the last 60 years, and it will continue to be for the next 60 years. Flour Mills of Nigeria, celebrating 60 years of feeding the nation every day. This has been a time to show commitment, resilience, and leadership. This is why, as Nigeria's largest food and agro-allied group, FMN PLC took action, inspiring Nigerians through one of the most challenging periods in our 60-year history. We initiated a multi-country procurement plan which expanded Nigeria's testing capacity with 60,000 test kits, along with hundreds of thousands of critical medical equipment and supplies. We provided emergency food relief to 12 states, giving vulnerable communities around the nation hope and helping them recover. As part of Nigeria's private sector leadership, we also funded the National Coalition effort with 1 billion naira. As our country reopens and rebuilds, we will be there for families all around Nigeria, feeding the nation every day. Flour Mills of Nigeria, celebrating 60 years of feeding the nation every day.
Distinguished shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, the time is 2 p.m. and the meeting is called to order. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the annual general meeting of our company. I hereby call on the Eco Hotel and Suites Safety Manager to give us a few safety tips. for the meeting.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to Eko Hotel and Suites. My name is Ganeyu Taiwo, and I'm here to briefly tell you a few things about our safety and security arrangements. First and foremost, please note that this hall is known as the Abora Suite. And in order to guarantee the safety of everybody here, the hall is fortified with a lot of safety gadgets, including the fire alarm. And please note this afternoon, we don't have planned fire drill. Neither do we envisage any form of emergency. But I can assure you, we are fully prepared to contain any kind of emergency that may arise at any point in time. In case there is any need to evacuate this room, the main entrance from where you come into the hall will serve as the major fire exit. Alternatively, there is another fire exit far to my left here, and the nearest assembly point is at the front of Eco Signature Building. If you go out through this side, just walk to your left and turn left again, walk down outside. We have members of emergency management team around. We are on ground and we shall assist you. Likewise, if there is any need to use the lavatories, just go out through the main entrance here. The security outside will direct you. And more importantly, in line with the government protocol on the management of COVID-19 pandemic, we have hand sanitizers everywhere within the hotel, including the entrances to the lavatories. Please make sure you wash your hands, use hand sanitizers always, and ensure that you keep social distancing. Don't forget to use your nose mask. If you have any issue, any question, anything, please direct to us. We are on ground and we shall assist you accordingly. Once again, I welcome you all, and I wish you a very splendid day. Thank you.
Thank you. My ever supportive fellow shareholders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the 60th annual general meeting of our company, which has been duly convened and properly constituted. I sincerely hope that you all and your respective families are staying safe and healthy in these very difficult times. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic and the attendant directives issued by the relevant authorities on physical distancing and a limit on the maximum number of persons at a gathering, not more than 50 persons. This AGM is being held by proxy in accordance with the Corporate Affairs Commission's directives, guidelines on holding of annual general meetings of public companies using proxies, hereinafter referred to as CAC guidelines. May I call on the registrar, Atlas Registrars Limited, represented by Mrs. Oluwaseyi Olulana, to quickly inform us on the number of proxy forms received for this AGM.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the registrars to FMN PLC, we received 629 valid proxy forms with 3,236,946,441 units of shares, representing 78.94% of the issued share capital of the company. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mrs. Olunana. This is a unique AGM in view of the current realities, as it is also being streamed live to shareholders and other relevant stakeholders who are unable to be physically part of the proceedings. Furthermore, I wish to inform you that safety and health measures have been put in place by our company for this meeting. In compliance with government directives, the number of persons physically present at this meeting has been limited to a maximum of 50. Hand sanitizers and face masks have also been made available at the venue of this meeting, and several other precautionary measures have been employed, including temperature checks before entry to the venue and requiring that attendees keep the recommended distance between each other. I would like to thank our shareholders in attendance physically and all those who have joined this meeting virtually for their continued commitment to the growth of the company. As you may have noticed, Mr. John G. Kumantaros, the chairman of the board of directors, is not physically present at today's meeting due to circumstances beyond his control, COVID-19 situation. Mr. Kumantaros has joined the meeting virtually, but has asked that I, Dr. Chief Emmanuel A. Okpabi, KJW, chair the meeting to forestall possible technical challenges with chairing the meeting remotely. Please be informed that microphones and amplifying equipment are being used for recording the broadcast of the proceedings. I will therefore request members to speak clearly into the microphone whenever you make a point or second a motion. Please put your face mask on while you speak, and do leave your mobile phones behind on your seat so as not to interfere with the public address system. We have a full agenda, and it might be helpful to explain that you will have the opportunity to second each motion put to the meeting. There will be an opportunity for questions to be taken on that particular motion only before the vote on it is taken. Please be informed that the Register of Directors' Holdings is available for inspection during the meeting in accordance with Section 275, subsection 8 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. Hereinafter referred to as KAMA. Information in that regard is further contained in Item 9, pages 39 to 40 of the annual report and accounts. Also, in accordance with Section 258, subsection 2 of KAMA, the record of directors' attendance at board meetings is available for inspection at this meeting. The information is further contained on page 45 of the annual report and accounts. I will now introduce the directors physically present at this meeting. On my immediate left is Mr. Paul Bededo, our Group Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, and one of the proxies for this meeting. I can stand briefly to introduce myself as Dr. Chief Emmanuel A. Okpabi, KJW, the Vice Chairman of the Board. On my right is Mr. Joseph Umelo, Umelu, our company secretary. Yes, to my extreme right is Mr. Anders, the CFO, yeah. The other directors and top management team of the company who are joining us virtually, you may see the photographs coming up as I introduce them. Mr. John G. Kumantaros, our chairman. Alhaji Abdullahi A. Abba, non-executive director. Professor Jerry Gana, CON, non-executive director. Alfonso O. Garate, non-executive director. Alhaji Rabiu M. Guazo, OON, non-executive director. Yanis Kapsanis, non-executive director. Thanasis Mazurakis, non-executive director. Felucia O. Phillips, independent non-executive director. Folarin R.A. Williams, non-executive director. Dr. Mrs. S.H. Suleiman, independent non-executive director. Alhaji Y. Oladeko A. Saliu, non-executive director. Mr. Boye Olusoya, executive director, Group Chief Operating Officer. Now I had introduced Mr. Anders Christensen before. He's the Chief Finance Officer and he's the person sitting on my extreme right. For more on the profile of each of the board members, please see pages 31 to 33 of the annual reports and accounts. Audit Committee Chairman. The chairman of the Audit Committee and the shareholder representative on the Audit Committee, Mr. Oladepo Adesina, is here, representing other members of the committee. Independent auditor. The firm of KPMG Professional Services acted as our independent auditor. The firm is represented here by Mr. Muhammad Adama, a partner in the firm. Other officers. We also have in our midst the representative of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Mr. Goldstein Iweneka, who is here to observe the proceedings. The representative of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Mrs. Amina Tanko, who is here to observe the proceedings. The Corporate Affairs Commission has informed us that they will be observing the proceedings via the live broadcast. The other proxies appointed for this meeting are Sir Sonny Wosu, minority shareholder, Mr. Nona Awo, minority shareholder, Mrs. Esther Funke Augustine, minority shareholder, Mr. Timothy Adesina, minority shareholder, and Mr. Boniface Okezia, minority shareholder. Be kindly informed that the chairman's address is on pages 18 to 29 of the annual report and accounts. With your kind permission, I will deem it as read. I now call on the company secretary to read the notice of meeting.
Notice of annual general meeting. Notice is hereby given that the 60th annual general meeting of Flour Mills of Nigeria PLC will be held at the Abora Suites, Eko Hotel and Suites, Ade Tokumbo Ademola Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, on Thursday, 10th September 2020 at 2 p.m. to transact the following businesses. Ordinary business. 1. Receive the audited financial statement for the year ended 31st March 2020 and the report of directors, auditors, and audit committee thereon. 2. Declare a dividend. 3. Elect and re-elect directors. To re-elect by special notice, Mr. Yanis Kasaunis and Haji Yunus Olalekon Saliu, who are over 70 years and eligible for re-election pursuant to Section 256 of CAMA. 4. Authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. 5. Elect members of the audit committee. Special business by ordinary resolution. 6. Fix the remuneration of the directors. 7. Renew general mandate for related party transactions. Note 1. Proxy. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic, the restriction on mass gathering, and in line with the guidelines issued by the Corporate Affairs Commission on holding AGMs using proxies, attendance at this AGM shall only be by proxy. Consequently, a member entitled to attend and vote at the AGM is advised to select from the underlisted proposed proxies to attend and vote in his stead. Mr. John Kumataros, Mr. Adeshino Olalekon Oladepo, Dr. Chief Emmanuel Akwari Ukpabi, KJW, Mr. Boniface Okezie, Mr. Paul M. Bededo, Mrs. Esther Funke Augustine, Dr. Mrs. Salamatu Suleiman, Mr. U.I. Nonawo, Sir Sonny Nwonsu, Chief Timothy A. Adesina. A proxy form is attached to the annual report and is also available at the link showed in the annual report. All instruments on appointment of proxy must be deposited at the office of the company's registrars, Atlas Registrars Limited, at 34 Eric Moore Road, Igomu, Lagos, Surulere, or via email at the email provided in the annual report, not later than 48 hours before the time fixed for the meeting. The company has made arrangement to bear the cost of stamp duties on the instrument on appointment of proxies. Dividends. The board recommends a dividend of 1 naira 40 kobo per ordinary share of 50 kobo each. This dividend, being declared from accumulated pioneer profit, will not be subject to withholding tax. Dividend payment. If approved, the dividend will be payable on Monday, 14 September 2020 to shareholders whose name appear in the register of members at the close of business on Friday, 14 August 2020. Shareholders who have completed the e-mandate activation forms will receive a direct credit of the dividends into their bank account or the payment date. Closure of register and transfer books. Notice is hereby given that the register of members and transfer books of the company will be closed from Monday, 17th August to Friday, 21st August 2020, both days inclusive. Audit Committee. In accordance with Section 359 subsection 5 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20 LFN 2004, a nomination in writing by any member or shareholder for appointment to the Audit Committee should reach the company secretary at least 21 days before the annual general meeting. The Code of Corporate Governance of the Security and Exchange Commission, SEC, requires that some of the members of the Audit Committee should have basic financial literacy and be knowledgeable in internal control processes. We therefore request that nominations must be accompanied by a copy of the nominee's curriculum vitae. Unclaimed dividends. Shareholders are hereby informed that some dividend warrants have been returned to the registrars as unclaimed, while some have neither been presented to the bank for payment nor to the registrars for revalidation. A list of such unclaimed dividends will be circulated with the annual report and the financial statement, and also available at the URL provided in the annual report. Affected members are by this notice advised to contact the registrars at Atlas Registrars Limited, 34 Eric Moore Road, Igomu, Lagos, Surulere, or via email of the registrars as provided. E-dividends and bonus mandates. Pursuant to the directive of the Securities and Exchange Commission, notice hereby given to all shareholders to open bank accounts, stockbroking accounts, and CSS accounts for the purpose of e-dividends through bonus. A detachable application form for e-dividends is attached to the annual report and also available at the website provided. This is to enable shareholders furnish particulars of their accounts to the registrars as soon as possible. The forms can also be downloaded from the registrar's website. Shareholders are also advised to update their records with the registrars using the data update form available at the website provided. All mandates and records updates should be deposited at Atlas Registrars Limited, 34 Eric Moore Road, Igomu, Lagos, or via their email address. 7. Right of shareholders to ask questions. Pursuant to Section 19, subsection 2 of the Nigerian Stock Exchange Rulebook 2015, please note that it is the right of every shareholder to ask questions not only at the meeting, but also in writing prior to the meeting. We urge that such questions be submitted to the Company Secretariat not later than 1 week before the date of the meeting. Electronic annual report. The soft copy of the 2020 annual report will be posted on our website and also sent to our shareholders who have provided their email addresses to the registrars. Shareholders who are interested in receiving the soft copy of the 2020 annual report should request via email to the registrars. 9. Live streaming of the annual general meeting. The annual general meeting will be streamed live online via our corporate website and on YouTube by order of the board, dated 29 July 2020.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So, item number 1 on the agenda is to receive the accounts for the year ended 31st March 2020 and the reports of the directors and auditors thereon, which have already been circulated. Before we take questions or comments on the report and accounts, I will call on the independent auditor and the audit committee to present their respective reports. Mr. Mohammed Adama, a partner in the firm of KPMG Professional Services, to present the independent auditor's report, also found on pages 57 to 65 of the annual report and accounts. Mr. Adama.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, distinguished shareholders, members of the board. The audit reports, as already notified by the chairman, can be found on pages 57 to 65 of the annual report. It's a 9-page report. Shareholders, if I have your permission, and chairman, if I have your permission, may I read the key aspect of the audit report rather than reading the entire 9-page report? Okay, thank you very much. Independent Auditor's Report to the shareholders of Flour Mills of Nigeria PLC. Reports on the audits of the consolidated and separate financial statements. Opinion. We have audited the consolidated and separate financial statements of Flour Mills of Nigeria PLC, the company, and its subsidiaries, together the group, which comprise the consolidated and separate statements of financial position as at 31st March 2020, and the consolidated and separate statements of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, consolidated and separate statements of changes in equity, and consolidated and separate statements of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes comprising significant accounting policies and other explanatory information as set out on pages 66 to 174. In our opinion, the accompanying consolidated and separate financial statements give a true and fair view of the consolidated and separate financial position of the company and its subsidiaries as at 31st March 2020, and of its consolidated and separate financial performance and its consolidated and separate cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS, and in the manner required by the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C-20 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act 2011. Basis for opinion. We conducted our audits in accordance with International Standards on Auditing, ISAs. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statement section of our reports. We are independent of the group and company in accordance with International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants, International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, including International Independence Standards, which is the ISBA code, together with the ethical requirements that are relevant to our audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements in Nigeria. And we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with these requirements and the ISBA code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Now, the next paragraph deals with the key audit matters in the audit. So pages 57 up to 57 to 62 deals with the key audit matters, and we've explained why they are key audit matters and the procedures that we have performed on them. So on page 63, we have other information as well as the respective responsibilities of the directors and ourselves as auditors, and those responsibilities haven't changed. So moving on to page 65, I'll take the other bit of the report, which is the report on other legal and regulatory requirements, is the last paragraph there. Compliance with the requirements of Schedule 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C-20 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. In our opinion, proper books of accounts have been kept by the company, so far as appears from our examination of those books, and the company's statement of financial position and statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of accounts, signed by Tola Adeyemi for KPMG Professional Services. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adama. In accordance with the provisions of CAMA, members of the Audit Committee met in the course of the year to, among other things, examine the report of the independent auditor. And the chairman of the committee is here today to present their report. I now call on Mr. Olalekan Oladepo Adesina to present the committee's report, also found on page 55 of the annual report and accounts.
The chairman, members of the board, regulatory authorities present, and fellow shareholders. Report of the audit committee to members of Flour Mills of Nigeria PLC for the financial year ended 31st March 2020. In compliance with Section 359, subsection 3 to 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAP C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, the Audit Committee received the audited financial statements of the year ended 31st March 2020, together with the management letter from the external auditors and management response thereto, and the duly convened meetings of the committee. We reviewed the scope and planning of the audit requirements and found them adequate. After the consideration, the committee accepted the report of the external auditor that the financial statements give a true and fair view of the state of the company's financial affairs as at 31st March 2020, having been prepared in accordance with international financial reporting standards. The committee reviewed management's response to the external auditor's findings in the management letter, and we are satisfied with management responses. The committee considered and approved the provision made in the financial statements for the nomination of the external auditors. We confirmed that the internal control system will constantly and effectively monitor through effective internal audit function. The external auditors confirmed that they received full cooperation from management in the course of their statutory audit. The committee therefore recommended that the audit financial statements for the year ended at 1st March 2020 and the external auditor's report thereon be presented for adoption at this annual general meeting. This was signed on 26 July 2020 by me and the other members of the audit committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adesina. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the board, I hereby lay before this meeting the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st March 2020. Are there any questions or comments which shareholders would like to ask or make about the accounts, the chairman's statement, or the company's activities generally? Shareholders who are following the proceedings online can also write their questions in the comment section of the online platform through which they are following the meeting. We will read out the answer and answer some of those questions as time permits. My colleagues and I will be pleased to answer any question or questions which you may have on the report and accounts before we proceed to the next item on the agenda. Follow-up questions and comments could also be sent to the company secretary's email address, geomolo@fmnplc.com. Are there any questions or comments?
Good afternoon. The chairman, directors on the board, regulatory authorities present here, eminent shareholders, and my three guests that are on seat, Sir Sonny Wosu, Okezie, and Baba Adesina. I say good afternoon for every one of us. My name is Esther Funke Augustine. I was delighted to be here today, and I'm very happy that when I got the annual report, when I go through it, I can see that our company did very well, because Despite the pandemic, we was able to deliver to our shareholders by giving them dividend of ₦1.40. Shareholder need returns for their investments, and you have done very well. Last year, you declared dividend of ₦1.20. This year, despite the problems here and there, you top the dividend again. It increased, and we are very happy with the company. During the pandemic, you gave Central Bank of Nigeria ₦1 billion. And apart from that, you provide medical instruments. You donated 400 million worth of food items to the public. I say kudos to the chairman, our MD, and all the members of Flour Mills. We really appreciate you. Another thing on page 24, I read that Golden Penny Flour Mills is now producing animal feed, that is stock feed. If not for the annual report, I did not know. How did you make public to know about our products so that they can purchase it? I want to know how you are doing that. Then permit me to talk about our garri. It's a fantastic one. When you taste our garri, you will know that we are one of the best in the market. Then our fertilizer also. But I would like you to make the public really know what we are doing. We can use our annual report to showcase all the products that we are producing. Let them be in our annual report. It goes very far. Many people will have it when we send it to them, and they will take it and know what we are really doing. Then another thing is about I want to advise the company. There are many things that our competitors are doing, they are producing, that I will like us to approach again. This will bring more profit into the company pockets. And from there, you can increase our dividends. Can we produce Golden Penny Cube? Can we go on to Golden Penny Salt? So and so forth. Let's look into our competitor, what they are really producing. We too can make it because we are on line of food item. Let me appreciate our MD and our company secretary. They are doing wonderfully. Our MD have really tried to make this kind of result this year. I appreciate you, sir. And all our members really appreciate you. They asked me to say thank you for your effort of leading the company. Thank you very much. I say goodbye for now.
the chairman of Flour Mill Nigerian PLC, directors of our great company, fellow distinguished shareholders. Good evening. My name is Okezie Boniface. Mr. Chairman, in view that we are in VI and living now back to mainland, as a result of that road over there, traffic is very awesome. I don't want to take our time, but rather to commend the company. It is good to have a foresight, because this company have doggedly going to diversification into agriculture. And that's what accounted today improvement in the account we are considering. By the end of this financial year we're in, 2020, next year I think it will go much better than the previous. Why am I saying this? COVID-19 is also a problem, but in another way, it's a blessing. Some people are maximizing an opportunity and making money, real money now. Companies, including Flour Mill, which is the food business. I want to thank God that you people, the company have utilized that opportunity that COVID-19 have brought about. Even if it's a health hazard, but still people must eat. And the pharmaceutical company, I think that's the only two companies now that are making it. So by next year, God willing, keep us alive. When we meet to discuss the account, we're able to get more dividend than we're getting today. That my sister earlier spoke about. Yeah, we had 120. I think it was also on Pioneer status that we paid this year on Pioneer status, which means there's no tax withholding, 10%, because we're ending up paying government tax, profit after tax. You pay the tax to the government. Then dividend declaration, they take. Mr. Chairman, if you look at this pandemic, when it hurt the nations, a lot of corporate bodies were donating massively to the government to ameliorate the suffering of the people, including our own company donated $1 billion, making sure that, including foodstuff items made, But in these donations, how much get to the downtrodden? They keep those money. And that's also, I'm going to explain further on page 45-40 on donations. Mr. Chairman, monkey the walk, baboon the chop. How do we get ourselves in this kind of positions? The company will be working. The shareholder who invested are not even getting. We'll make donation on page 40 and we'll give huge amount of money. The three people that this money should trickle down to are not receiving it. You can see a lot of things government are spending. And that's also, it is not bad to give. A society where you operated upon, and that's why a company are giving these donations, that it must get back to the poor masses. But some people are withholding this money and stealing. How do we continue to give more in future to this government? Mr. Chairman, if you look at that page 40, our donations, we also give to Nigerian sponsorship of 25th Nigerian Economic Summit. Of 30 million, Mr. Chairman. It's good when people are congregated in Abuja, Nikon Hilton or Congress, to formulate policy of economic policy. Those who are making that, you are formulating that policy, are they listening? Are they adhering to it? And we are spending this whooping cost of money to donate to them. It's misplaced. We shouldn't. I know their MD is a member of that society of engineers, economic summit. Mr. Chairman, that money can go to Model Baby's home. How much are shareholder beneficiary getting for these returns? We shouldn't be, we must mind how we donate these monies. We need those money. If fellow me today decided to go and build a library, one university, or two or three, institute our name there, it's better. Because you do all this talk workshop, government does not implement it. Government does not listen, because when they congregated and match out those policies, it's meant for government. Those who are running the economy, are they listening? So if I call it jamboree, we should not be wasting our hard-earned money. Bring it to pay more dividend to shareholders, if they will not know what to do with money. Mr. Chairman, I frown at those donations, honestly. If we look at all the donations we made, apart from the ones in pictures, during pandemic and other things the government have been doing in the past, COVID-19, I don't have problem if government have well utilized those money and give accountability. How those money have been given by corporate bodies. What had they been used for? Are the managers benefited for this money? Nobody will come here talking and blame the company. They have meant well. But what they meant for doing have defeated. So we must take precaution in future in making such donations to institutions that are not transparent, not accountable to the poor masses. Mr. Chairman, on page 10, group performance highlight, we can see we have done very well in this account, ended March 31st, 2019. We did very, very well. Look at continued operations, revenue, 573.774 billion. Mr. Chairman, as against 527 in the previous year. Profit before management tax, 17 billion against 10. Profit after tax, 17 billion against 9. Mr. Chairman, profit from continued operation, 11.37 billion as against 4 in previous year. It's a good one, Mr. Chairman. And we have done so well. And that's why we are paying 5.740 billion in dividend as against 4.9 previous year. Mr. Chairman, 140 is good. Looking at basic earning 2555, we should have been saying that maybe we are getting that 1555 or 2 naira and plus some. But then on the rainy days, we don't have to pay out what we have earned. So I want to commend the management, the company for the foresight in that fight operations and which is yielding today into agriculture. And if we have not done that, Mr. Chairman, today government policy is not favorable. If we are now concentrating on flour alone, we will make it. Where they're bounding every unbannable. Where do we get raw material to concentrate and building flour, which will have been noted number 1 in Nigeria since 60s. This company has existed here. They have been feeding the nation. There's no doubt about that. Feeding the nation. Every day, this company have doing it. I still talk about the variety of products. I think the flour mill have been showcasing those things. Madam also know that when also edible oils, this company, vegetable oil is there. Suya, pure oils that suit the heart. That man will eat, you don't have problem. No cholesterol is here. So they have a lot of other product. Mr. MD, if you have not come to get that foresight, that fight, we won't make it today. But food is empty, not where people are going. But unfortunately, government play lip services. Today, look at ordinary local rice, about 30,000. We're talking about rice we are producing. 30,000. How do we encourage people to feed, to buy them? Rice, 30,000. When the importer was selling 15,000 when this government came, that's before BC. Today, it's not BC before the battle of Christ. It's not before change. That's what we're seeing. That the change have not paid off. And that's why we are found that company donating money to government. The government have not looked to the capacity to help them, and we're donating. You say give to the rich, and the poor will get poorer. So, Mr. Chairman, you have done very well, excellently well. Mr. Chairman, another worry I have here on page 59, that's auditor's comment. Some of our subsidiaries are incurring losses. It is high time we begin to look at those subsidiaries that are not even contributing, incurring loss. We're giving loans onto them, giving financial backing, and they are posting loss. Can't we decide if this company are giving us headache, and we'll dispose some of them, bring the money back. We'll dispose some of them. Maybe when we sell them, some people, they will make profit, they will begin to do well, whoever bought them. But we need this money to apply back. Instead of giving, and we're not seeing return. We are not seeing progress they are making. For how long will they continue to do that? That's the only auditors express. What are they on that page 59, auditors report. So, Mr. Chairman, it is hard time the board look at those subsidiaries that are dragging us down. I want to commend the company secretary. If you look at page 57, I think that's got to do with corporate governance. Corporate governance, 57. Yeah. Mr. Chairman, the company secretary have done well on page 45, 46, and 57. That's the board attendance, other subcommittee and audit committee, etc., etc. I think that's a new phrase today that the company secretary have adopted to able to state yes, yes, yes. That means attendant. If those who are not no, and we have here only 2 no's, that means the board were up and doing in attendance of board meeting. And that's where the critical policies are being formulated to drive the business we're doing today. So, Mr. Chairman, I want to commend you for people having their busy times to devote more time for this company, to attend the board meeting. And other subcommittees or some of the directors are all yes, 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 100%. Mr. Chairman, I want also to commend one of our directors who have existed the board, Atode Peter Side, who resigned this year from the board. After completing his tenure, I want to commend him for the service rendered in the past for this great company. So we appreciate his invaluable contribution for the growth of this company and wish him well in his future endeavor. I think the man decided to lift up the companies is on the board. He's not only flower mill. We want to commend him for what he has done. I think Mr. Molu have just borrowed this because I know he passed under the tutelage of Mr. Salihu. So nobody compensated that come here does not do well. So we appreciate what he's been doing. There's been a link. Call him anytime. Even if Molu traveled, he will still send call, even if it's after the country. When you ask what is going on, or a report has not been released, he will answer. I don't know MD's number to call him, but Molu have been a bridge between us, the board, to communicate, or management. I only saw maybe at the airport, we greet. This is the guy who calls. That's only familiar to shareholder. He's doing excellent work. I want to commend him for what he's doing. And the staff of the secretariat, they have been doing an excellent job, doing marvelous, very, very well. Mr. Chairman, I am front out two. All the pictures have shown us here from page 190, 185, 186, 86, yes, etc., etc. The donation made. But it did not even, this report was meant to shareholders. We had activities last year. Why didn't shareholder not feature in this annual report? That's that disconnect we do having money companies today. This annual report is meant for us. At least we had an annual general meeting over and over. It does not showcase your shareholder in annual report that meant for them. You are bringing picture where the staff did this, apart from this ceremony they donating and showcasing. But you didn't feature any shareholder here in what the activities we had last year. It's not too good, Mr. Chairman. So, and that's, I think this is the first time this is repeating. We didn't have it in the past. We used to have shareholders' faces on the annual report that meant for us. Mr. Chairman, like I said earlier, we want to leave you as quick as possible. Our company have done very well, and they deserve all accolade and commendation we are given to you. It's not misplaced. If you do well, we say you have done well. If you have not done well, we say you have not done well. But I think whom much is given, much is expected. So go home back and work more. That 1 naira 40 is not big enough. We want to have 2, 3 naira, 5 naira. This company deserves it to pay to shareholders. So work hard. The COVID-19, by next year, we're talking about all the profit you have made. There's no excuse whatever. Our pioneer or not pioneer want to see the reform, And Chairman, 5 years ago, we paid the bonus last. This is time for us to begin to, MD, to give us bonus. Come next year, we must think along that. It's a great issue. Bonus, we need it. We deserve it. Because as a last right time we did, right issue, there's nothing to compensate shareholder. We need to do that. Because we cannot, what you have been doing today, talking about, hovering about 19 naira, 18 naira, 15 naira. No, flour mill should much more than that. In the past, this is a share of company of 70 naira, 100 naira, if I'm not mistaken. In the past. So we should go back to that era. Despite that the share that nose diving, but please, we can be on top, based on what you are doing now, what you are embarking upon. With this food sector we are moving in, our dividend should be higher, and share appreciation should be also high. If not 15 naira, we should be able to go there. Because we value our company, is more than that, what we are having today currently. Mr. Chairman, I thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Says Sonny was. Yeah, come after this.
Mr. Chairman of the Board of Flour Mills Nigeria PLC, distinguished directors, and very distinguished shareholders, those who are presently here and those we are representing, the hundreds of thousands that we are representing. I want to thank the board for inviting me to represent these thousands of shareholders. I really thought that when Boniface finished talking that would be end of discussion so that we'll all go away, since he was talking about traffic and other things on the road. He has talked very high to compensate for his size and his nature. So, I'm going to try to make my contribution to be much, much shorter than what Bonnie has done. So, Mr. Chairman, I want you to place on record our appreciation to the chairman of the board, who, because of the war pandemic, could not make it today. Since he assumed the position after the demise of his father, he has made it a point of duty to be attending the AGM. So please extend our congratulations to him for this. Just riding on one point that Boniface raised, we want you to send a letter to Atedo Peterside for our appreciation of his service to this board. It's always good for a man to take a decision when he feels that it is time for him to make an impact in another thing. So definitely, he has taken that decision in all the companies he is, and the decision was also based on humanitarian issue to go back and face his foundation that has to do with taking care of people, which is very, very good. Mr. Chairman of today's meeting, I want to really praise you. I remember very clearly when I happened to be one of those that encouraged you that we must go into that sugar. And you were persecuted left, right, and center. And I told you, go on. The shareholders are all behind you. Today we can see what is coming out of sugar. That we're able to make 15 metric tons of sugar, and we continue. Despite the challenges of flood and all this and that, we continue to march on. And that's what takes a man to stand firm. And the reward will surely come. If we have chickened out, then we won't see the reward. And you handed over to Paul, who continued to navigate this. But my concern about Santi is that it's like we're putting all our eggs in one basket over there. If we have a sugar community in Santi, we're building houses, we are putting in more money, everything in Santi. So we need to be very, very careful. We need to expand the development of sugar plantation into another area so that we will not have anything to hold us to ransom in any area we are. So it's very, very important for us for the board to really look at that aspect. And I remember 2 years ago, I also mentioned this at the AGM. Today, we have spent a lot of billions of naira in this area trying to just get my act together. Yeah, we have done 146 tons of cane, which produced 15.8 tons of sugar. And apart from that, we have also had opportunity of building an estate, clearly estate, with what we believe today to be a remarkable relationship. But in life, there's no permanent remarkable relationship. And wherever it exists, but we must also bear in mind that anything can happen anytime and expand our scope. From the report of the chairman here, is telling us that as part of our strategy to enrich lives and empower the community from where we operate, over 4,500 employees in an estate. That's 4,500 is already a town of its own. So I do not have anything in my mind other than to give a sincere advice on this issue. It's very important. The other thing that gives me hope about flour mills is scaling down our packages to the root of poverty in this country. And that's what we have done. If we have brought in Gari, and I'm happy that the lady that spoke here also manufactured Gari, and I'm sure she has really succumbed to the quality of our Gari when she said our Gari is the best. So it shows clearly that we are actually getting it right. Now, this BTC is very helpful. If you have 10 kobo in your pocket, you will have something to eat, which is good. But my worry and worries about this is the cost of packaging. Cost of packaging for that small size of Gari or even sugar, as stated in the chairman's report here. It's very, very important that we also have to consider these things in pricing the product. And if it's overpriced, it's no longer for the poor masses. And then we'll have problems about it. So I want the management and board to look at this properly in a way that it will be very profitable to the company. Mr. Chairman, I also would like a situation where we will caption these equipments. The equipments in picture. Let's quickly go to page 23 of the annual report. This heavy equipment that is in peak here need to be captioned so that we will know what is in the assets of our company. So also the picture on page 27. These pictures will give a sense of belonging to the shareholders. Well, on behalf of shareholders, I'd like to also join the chairman in welcoming Boye, whom I know very well, into the management cadre of the company. I would like the sustainability report to be more richer. The sustainability report in this annual report to be more richer, because sustainability report itself gives a clear opportunity and insight to people as to where the company is going and what it's doing. Now, Mr. Chairman, I wish that the picture on page 30 should have been distributed here so that we'll then know whether there is no lump in this semovita. Semolina. Yes, that's what I'm saying, that we need to know whether it is or not. Mr. Chairman, as I said, I'm going to be very brief, but I want to raise an issue that I saw here. Yes, Mr. Chairman, I want to refer us to page 152. 152. I am also happy that we are paying down our loans. Mr. Chairman, I don't want us to look like a company that increases dividend by 20 kobo every year. The other day it was 1 naira, the next day it's 120, this time it's 140. But if you look at the returns, on investment, let's go to the 5 years financial summary on page 178. Mr. Chairman, you will see that earning per share, net asset per share, in 2019 was 35 naira, 2020, 38. But what is more important there is that the year we made a profit for the year, in 2019, we made 4 billion naira. We paid 120 kobo. The year we made 11.3, we're also paying 140. So I don't understand how the board really work on this, and that may also will also give me the opportunity of asking the chairman, do we have dividend policy, which is enabling us to calculate this? And dividend policy is usually on the profit made. So please, it's very important that one will want to know about that. Well, Mr. Chairman, if you also look at page 154, you will see the list of subsidiaries there. And I want to ask, is there none of these subsidiaries that we can match to the order, coming from the background of the auditor's report? One thing I discovered there is that one of the fertilizers company was merged to another one. So if we can do that, maybe in one form or the other, that will be very helpful to us. I also would like to find out the treatment meted out for unclaimed dividend. But I want to refer you to the page that has this. And the way it was treated there is not very understandable to a lay person. That's on page. I think the major problem with that was that it did not align with either it is a printer's devil or something like that. It actually did not align. one tipped off up and the other one down. So it did not align. But what I want to do here is that I'm quite sure that we have sent some pages of our review to the company secretary. Whatever I'm saying here is an addition to what we have sent to the company secretary. Mr. Chairman, I also want to ask an important, since we are integrated agriculture, is there any palliative, like support from government to us? Because all this talk by central bank about giving palliatives to agricultural company, we want to know whether we benefited from any of this. I want to see the day we are paying the dividend. Monday. Mr. Chairman, I think we can do better with this in ensuring that the day of the AGM, the dividend is declared, approved, and paid. I'm sure the registrars will not have any problem about that. We have all come to understand that every hour that passes, the value of the currency continues to drop. So there's nothing wrong if you get approval of shareholders today and pay the dividend. Latest by tomorrow, we get our money and use it for whatever. If it's Semovita we want to buy with it, we buy Semovita with it at a current value of the money. And this can be done. That can be done on the spot as we are here. The board can decide to ask the registrars to pay the money because they must have prepared for it. So, Mr. Chairman, without complicating what has been sent to you, I'd like to congratulate you for holding this meeting and for being very greenish. You can see everywhere is greenish, and agriculture is the way out in everything we do. Food is very important. And in summary, I want to thank you very much because it was an issue of no shaking. We would not have succeeded with this new management in sugar production. So I am very happy. Finally, we are not seeing the gari outside. We are not seeing the rice outside. What is happening today is that most of these big retailers will go and buy Nigerian rice and print foreign bag and rebag them into the foreign bag. So we want to see the rice from our company. I'll be very happy to buy the rice from flour mills. I'll be very happy to buy the gari from flour mills. So what is happening? Why are we having shortage of that to retailers? So these are very fundamental issues that I think the company here should be able to give us the answers so that we are not cheated outside. Mr. Chairman, on that note, we'll thank the good God to continue to keep us alive. We pray that the next meeting will be much better than this. And may God continue to bless all of us. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
The chairman, other members of the board, very distinguished fellow shareholders. My name is Nona Au. Chairman, I first must recognize the efforts that the company had made in making this AGM possible. But I also recognize the pain that out of the 80,000 plus shareholders, only 629 will be participating in the activity of the company, which for me gives me some concern. Because if out of 80,639 shareholders, only 629, then there is cause for worry. I also would have been worried, Mr. Chairman, if I also realized that this dividend will be paid after 72 hours. And I'm wondering, but realizing that there will be no withholding tax, I probably will want to pardon, but like the last speaker, let's have our dividend maximum 24 hours after approval. That for me will be showing efficiency. And let me share this small joke with you, Mr. Chairman. If you paid me, if this AGM was last week, and you paid me that dividend on Friday, and I went to buy fuel, you know how much I will have saved? I don't know what will change between today and Monday, but time value for money is something that I think that we should always be conscious of. I must also recognize the fact that in the year under review, despite the discontinued business that we also had, that revenue moved up by 9%, but profit after tax went up by 184%. And I took time to look at the breakdown of that item. But what I am not too certain that you don't need to explain has to do with the attitude and the character that the subsidiaries are throwing up. And I'll quickly share this with you. In 2018, the subsidiary threw up a profit after tax of 4.4 billion. So one was expecting that given the size of investment that we are making in subsidiaries, that the number will grow. But unfortunately, in 2019, the loss was 15.3 billion. Yes, I know that one of the answers you are likely to give is that, so say in 2020, the loss was 1.2 billion. But what is it, now that the auditors are also pointing to it, what is the major challenge with the subsidiaries? Yes, I know that some of the investments are probably not beginning to yield, but this size of loss, because if we had 16 billion that we lost in 2 years added to the bottom line, I'm sure we will not be talking about 1 naira 40 kobo dividend. So it's important that the issue of the subsidiaries as to what is happening will be explained. However, in asking questions or in reading accounts, one of the things I also try to do is to scout around the accounts for likely solutions. And since the finance director is also present here, I find on page 86, 109, and 160, finance costs, yes, dropped from 23 billion to 20 billion in the year under review. And even the 20 billion is representing 20% of value added, which I consider high. So what is it that we are likely to do differently going forward in terms of our funding? Because if you also look at page 166, you find that the gearing is also becoming a challenge. So what are we likely to do to make sure that this turn of event is reversed? But we'll be hoping that we'll be looking at much more of the high interest component of our borrowings. Because if you have government borrowing that is giving you 4%, 5%, I will not say you should return such money, but what are we likely to do? Are we looking at a refinancing of those debts, given the exchange, the interest regime now that is literally below 6%? But it's something that we must speak to in driving the growth of the business. I also think that the issue of receivable is something that must also be addressed here, so that we'll be giving those of us who are here and those of us who are following visually some level of comfort. Again, the auditors pointed to it. That size of receivable being impaired for me is massive, higher than even the profit that the dividend that you are going to pay this year. So what is it that we are also doing to address that? I will be hoping that the issue of unclaimed dividend on page 151, standing at almost 4 billion, is something that we must also get the registrars to work at in conjunction with the company secretary's office. 4 billion will attract any government agency to want to come and visit you. And the more they visit, the chances of something going wrong will happen. So let's begin to, I've had some discussions with the registrar herself, but I think that we can do far more in having to address the issue of unclaimed. Yes, we are 60 years. But there are companies that are paying higher with size of shareholders bigger, but that don't have this size of unclaimed, But let's see what we can do, because a situation where we are getting almost 60 million of other person's money to come into the bottom line is not something that is also healthy for us. I will be closing on the notes of what I am not certain about in terms of direction. On page 103, you will find that fuel, oil, and gas moved up from 14.3 billion to 16.5 billion in terms of expenses. I'm asking this because we had an investment in power plant. And then you should go to page 107, the same item, though under general admin, you'll find that the cost of fuel, power, and gas dropped from 580 to 332. So which of these two is being impacted by our investment in power plants? And what is that we are likely to do better to also be able to take this figure down? Because if you are looking at 16.8 billion as a single line cost, and which is power, then it also means that we need to do something slightly different from what we're currently doing. I am saying all of this because I also was taking my compacts from page 35 and 36, where we are coming from, and then certainly you'll be asking, where are we going? And in that regard, I will also be hoping that on page 115, we had new assets of 17 billion. 12 billion of that is work in progress. So which aspect of the future is this work in progress located? So that, again, I can have a better understanding as to where the future lies for us. Mr. Chairman, because I'm a shareholder and I'm concerned as to what happens to other person's money, I'll be hoping that going forward, the registrar will not only indicate their address, they will have their email in this annual account, they will also have their telephone number on this account, and then on their website, they should also publish the older dividends that are closer to being status bar. And I'm also hoping that the company secretary will also, with his IT team, do the same on the websites of Flour Mills of Nigeria, so that way we can begin the discussion. It's on that note I want to thank you for inviting me and then also standing in for proxy on behalf of other shareholders. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Adeshina.
Members of the board, distinguished fellow shareholders, my name is Timothy Adeshina, a shareholder. Thank you very much. I'm very pleased with the performance of this company. And what makes me very happy is that Flour Mills of Nigeria is placed on a very solid foundation. And that foundation is based on succession plan. So good succession plan. You will remember the transition of the secretariat from Alhaji Yunusa to Mr. Umoru. It has been a smooth transition, and we shareholders enjoy it. We hardly note that Alhaji Yunus Olalekan has left, because his way of doing things are the same way that Mr. Umolu is following. And this year now, I read in this annual report about the re-election of Alhaji Yunus Olalekan. I don't think any member or any shareholder of this company will be against Alhaji Yunus Olalekan continuing as a director of this company, because he has been a legend and a very strong asset to this company. The same thing with Mr. Yunus Kassonis, who also has been an old brigade and has been moving the company forward. I am very happy that at last today, Dr. Ukpabi, even though it's as a result of COVID-19, that he is doing the work of the chairman, he has been groomed for this for so many years, and there is no history of Nigerian flour mills that anybody can write without mentioning the performance of Chief Ukpabi. He has been a legend, and he has been a contributory factor to the progress of this company for ages. I am therefore suggesting that Section 256, talking of age above 70, will not affect these two people, because the law just requires that the two of them declare their ages, and no law says they cannot continue to be directors. I therefore will appreciate that my fellow shareholders vote in favor of Alhaji Yunus Olalekan and Mr. Yunus Kassonis. So I appreciate again that when we go to page 68 of this annual report, you will observe that our turnover this year, continuing operations, moved slightly upwards in terms of revenue, but the net operating gains is lower than that of the previous year, when the turnover was lower. The problem here has to do with the cost of doing business in this country. The cost of doing business is such that if you are not very sound and you don't do your plannings well, one could be thrown out of his feet. So I appreciate the efforts of the board, management, and staff of Flour Mills of Nigeria for moving the company forward from time to time, and we pray that God will continue to protect us, and the pandemic shall not have any evil effect on us and our staff. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you. Any other comments? No. So we have to. Fortunately, I have Mr. Anders Christensen and the GMD. The questions on finance and others will be answered by them, and then I'll just answer a few of the questions. Mr. Anders Christensen, can you answer some of the questions?
Very happy to, and thank you so much for the questions. I I think that there were a couple of questions regarding the subsidiaries and some of the provisions we made in the subsidiaries. Overall, the profitability of the subsidiary is up year on year. What happened is that when we started the year, we were in the first phase of the COVID pandemic, and we made some fairly prudent provisions for the recoverability of the debts that we had done to some of our corporate customers. Subsequent to that, we have not seen that loss. So overall, we made provisions for receivables we had with corporate customers. Over the last 5 months, we haven't seen those debts not being recovered. There was a very valid question on the interest rate, why the interest rate still is at 19 billion compared to 22 billion before, and how we are bringing the debt further down. If we look at the interest rate expense plus the interest rate income, we were at 21.5 billion last year, and this year we had 2.5 billion of interest income. So in total, we moved from 22 to 17 billion. Still, 17 billion is a too high interest income, so we are embarking on one additional corporate bond. We had a 70 billion bond program, and we are looking at doing the last tranche of 30 billion, where we believe that we can get 5 to 7 year single-digit interest rate. So we are actually very actively trying to address that point. There was also a question on whether we need so many subsidiaries and whether we are merging them, and that's actually something that we are actively looking at as we speak. So thank you so much for those questions.
GMD.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There were specific questions asked about the products and the availability of products. For instance, question was asked on Gary. Even though we have a very good product, why is it not everywhere? That was the question. The fact is that since we started the production of Gary, we have had challenges in raw material supply chain. It is true that we produce cassava all over the country, but whenever you seek for these cassava tubers, for processing, it becomes an issue. We knew about this, and we had our own cassava, cultivation in Kwara State. We have an estate for cultivating cassava, and we have been developing this over the years, and is supporting the production of cassava tubers that we process in the cassava, processing plant. But we cannot sustain this, to the level that we will want. And we are still building capacity, in cassava cultivation. So gradually, we are moving from the Lagos area, where we are supplying the product of Gary. We are moving gradually into the west. And as we build capacity in our supply chain, definitely we'll be having more and more of this product on the shelves. The demand is so high that we are not able to meet because of the capacity that we have as of today, and also because of the raw material, that we are not getting at the right time. Just imagine, about 2-3 years ago, a ton of cassava was just 10,000 naira per metric ton. Today, it has gone up to beyond 40,000, per metric ton. It is just because of the demand, for cassava tubers in the country, and that is denying us enough of it into our processing, into our processing plants. But we are building capacity, and we are sure that with time, we will be able to get this Gary in the hands of all our consumers. A point is also made about communication. How do we communicate what we are doing? We are doing our best, to see that whenever we have our products, especially the new products, we communicate through radio, we communicate through print media, so that people can know, the products that we have. And the fact is just that not everyone will be able to hear us at the same time, but gradually, we are communicating that, and our marketing department is doing a great job in ensuring that these products are seen. Not just that we talk about them, but they are seen on the shelves, in all the markets that we have. Rice, good. We are not really in rice business any longer. We disinvest from rice business about 4 or 5 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago. And that was because of certain policies that came that, were not, very comfortable. And you remember that since 2009, we were in rice business, but just about 4 or 5 years ago, we disinvested, from that business, and concentrating more and more on the areas that we feel will provide value, better value, to the shareholders. Problems with the subsidiaries, my colleague has touched on that. That's Anders. He touched on that. But if you consider agro-allied businesses, they are unlike any other business. Agro-allied businesses need time. They need a longer gestation. And that was why, in fact, if you look back when we had crisis in 2016, and we're having a similar one this year now, when we had that crisis, we had issues with agro-allied businesses. And we made some strategic decisions, at that time to ensure that all our raw materials, all the supply chain is domesticated, so that we look for raw materials, to feed those businesses in the agro-allied space. We had initial problems, teething problems. How do we aggregate? How do we get to the farm gates and get the raw materials at the right time? So we had to build also capacity in this space. We had to ensure that we have the resources, that will aggregate raw materials so that our processing plants in the agro-allied space, can work not just for a short while, but all through the year. We have learned a great deal, and that's why today we are seeing that agro-allied businesses are doing better than before. And I can assure you that we are on the right trajectory. In the years to come, we will see better returns and better dividends on what strategies that we have embarked upon over the last few years. We should be doing better in agro-allied businesses. Someone asked a question on investment in Top Feeds. Top Feeds has, we've been in that business now for almost 10 years. Chairman, you will agree. And we have Premier Feed is the name, is the company name that produces Top Feed as a brand. Top Feed is the brand, but Premier Feed in Ibadan and Eastern Premier Feeds in Calabar, produce Top Feed brands into the country. I am sure that we are the leading Top Feed brand in the country. And today, with our investment in feed mill in Ibadan and Calabar, both combined, make us the leading feed mill in the country, today. So we are well known. It could be that you have not been in the feed business for a while. That's why, you may not know about this. But if you look at our past, reports, at the AGMs, over the last 5-6 years, we have always been reporting on, feed mills and also reporting on top feed performances. Shivo Kezie talked about our CSR and our donations. We cannot do without having donations, to various segments of the, of the community. Our CSR is very strong, and this year in particular, this is pandemic that started in March this year. We've never seen it before, and the first thing was to ensure that the people's health is protected, and if you are protecting the health of the people, you also ensure that people have food to eat, because for the first time this pandemic entailed that people had to be logged in. Once people are logged in, how do they get food? And in the wisdom of the government of this country, we were classified as essential services. And so it's important then that people are protected health-wise and they get food. So we made donations, directly to governments who are responsible to distribute these items to their citizens. And we donated food items to about 14 states, in the country. And I'm glad that all these states recognized the contribution that we made to food donation to their citizens, and they were happy about that. And of course, we had the initiative from the central bank with organized private sector coming together to form what they call CACOVID. And of course, you rightly mentioned that we donated, as at March, about 1 billion naira to CACOVID to support that initiative. And we have seen how they have utilized those, the funds, ensuring that they build isolation centers, ensuring that they provide laboratories for testing COVID, and they provide PPEs, working with National Disease Control Center. I think it was a noble cause in donating, 1 billion to that cause. And we cannot be seen to be left out, because it's the entire organized private sector, and especially big businesses, which we are, in the forefront. We have to be seen to be donating to that cause. Of course, it is the responsibility of the government and the subnational governments to ensure that they distribute these things, appropriately to their citizens, so that people can be protected and that people can have, food. And I think it has been a success. It has been a great success, because look at what Nigeria has done. You cannot compare the impact of COVID in Nigeria to, any country, even in Africa. We have done very, very well. And I think the donations we have made must have impacted the performance of Nigeria in protecting people from COVID. I think that's about the comments that I would like to make. Say it again, sir. Economic Summit Group, is organized private sector group, that partners very closely with government in formulating policies, economic policies, and they've been there for over 30 years, and they have been very supportive to government in formulating proper policies that will benefit, private sector. We are members of it, and we continue to support that group. And whatever is the current situation, that will be handled, by the appropriate, people and appropriate authorities.
Thank you, GMD. What else remains? What you said about Atedo Peter's side, surely we'll convey to him the appreciation, the shareholders, for his contribution during which time was with us. So that should be communicated to him. And then, also the issue of paying out dividend. I think the company will improve on that. Remember that today is Thursday, and then tomorrow is Friday. Then we have a Saturday, Sunday. No, a lot of businesses are not going on. Yeah, a number of factors determine the dividend the company pays. And all those factors and considerations have to be done before you decide. I don't think it's just if you have 10 million today, you pay 1 naira, and if you have 20 million tomorrow, you pay 2 naira. It doesn't follow that. There are other considerations in formulating what dividend has to be paid. I think the company has done quite well in terms of dividend. Yeah, once again, I thank you all for your comments and your questions. Having dealt with the first item, we now move to the other items on the agenda. In view of the nature of this meeting, and to ensure that the voting wishes of shareholders as contained in the proxy forms are captured. Okay, then I move that we receive the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st March 2020 and the reports of the directors, auditors, and the audit committee thereon. So I so move. Who will support? Secretary, take note. So all in favor?
I shall second the motion. Okay, Zia Boniface.
Very good. Okay. So in view of the nature of this meeting, and to ensure that the voting wishes of shareholders as contained in the proxy forms are captured, I, under section 224, subsection 1A of CAMA, and Article 38 of the Articles of Association, hereby declare that voting at this meeting shall be by poll, except for the item on the agenda relating to election of members of the Statutory Audit Committee. Please note that only ordinary resolutions are required for all the items. That is, a simple majority of the votes will suffice for each resolution. The registrar will guide us through use of the voting devices issued to shareholders at the commencement of this meeting. Registrar, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, voting devices have been given to you. Before we start the voting, we will carry out a keypad test to activate the keypads. To activate the keypads, please press any key on the device. Two of the shareholders, their voting patterns have already been captured. For Sir Unwosu and Baba Adesina, your voting patterns have been captured already because you submitted the proxy forms. So we have 4 shareholders that are using these keypads. So please press any key on the device to activate the device. Please note the following. The voting will be opened for 20 seconds. 20 seconds. We will need only 2 keypads, only 2 keys, that is 1 or 2. When prompted to vote, please press 1 if you are in favor of the resolution, or press 2 if you are against the resolution. If you press any other key, it will be assumed that you have abstained from voting. I repeat, please press 1 if you are in favor of the resolution, or press 2 if you are against the resolution. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. So we are going to this. We now come to the next item on the agenda. Item number 2 on the agenda is to declare a dividend. The director's proposal is that dividend amounting to 5.74 billion naira in respect of and out of accumulated pioneer profits of the company be declared, and further, that the dividend be paid on the Monday, 14th September 2020 to shareholders registered in the books of the company at the close of business on Friday, 14th August 2020. The proposed dividend, incidentally, amount to 1 naira 40 kobo per ordinary share of 50 kobo. I hereby move that the director's proposal for the dividend be adopted. Will someone please rise and second the motion? Yeah.
I second that motion. My name is Esther Funke Auguste.
Thank you. I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of the voting device given to you on arrival. The independent auditor will act as the scrutineer. The registrar will guide us through use of the voting service, the device, and also conduct the voting exercise. Registrar, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, voting starts now. Voting has ended. For the resolution to declare a dividend, the result is as follows: 3,237,290,411 units of shares, representing 100%, voted in favor of this resolution. There is no vote against the resolution. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is re-election of the retiring directors offering themselves for re-election. You would have seen from the report of the directors that 4 directors are due for re-election in line with Article 71 of the Articles of Association. They are Mr. Yanis Kasaunis, Mr. Thanasis Mazarakis, Alhaji Olaleko Saliu, and Mr. Folarin Williams. The first director seeking re-election is Mr. Yanis Kasaunis. And I think the best thing for us to do is to have them together. Or do we have them one by one? Yes. Okay. So I hereby move that Mr. Yanis Kasaunis be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Will someone please rise and second this motion?
I, Chief Timothy Adesina, hereby second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of the voting device given to you on arrival. The independent auditor will act as a scrutineer. I now call on the registrar to conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, voting starts now. Voting has ended. For the resolution to re-elect Mr. Yanis Kasaunis as a director, the result of the poll is as follows: 3,198,989,293 units of shares, representing 98.82% of the votes cast, voted in favor of the resolution, while 38,051,826 units of shares, representing 1.18% of the votes cast, voted against this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. The second director seeking re-election is Mr. Thanasis Mazarakis. I hereby move that Mr. Thanasis Mazarakis be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Will someone please rise and second this motion?
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion. Boniface Okezie.
I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of the voting device given to you on arrival. The independent auditor will act as a scrutineer. I now invite the registrar to conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, voting starts now. Voting has ended. For the resolution to re-elect Mr. Thanasis Mazarakis as a director, the result of the poll is as follows: 3,199,238,585 units of shares, representing 98.82% of the votes cast, voted in favor of the resolution, while 38,051,826 units of shares of the votes cast, representing 1.18% of the votes cast, voted against the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. The third director seeking re-election is Alhaji Olalekan Saliu. I hereby move that Alhaji Olalekan Saliu be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Will someone please rise and second this motion?
Chairman, I, Chief Timothy Adesina, so second. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of the voting device given to you on arrival. The independent auditor will act as the scrutineer, and I invite the registrar to conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, voting starts now. Voting has ended. For the resolution to re-elect Alhaji Olalekan Saliu as a director, the result of the poll is as follows: 3,199,201,884 units of shares, representing 98.82% of the votes cast, voted in favor of the resolution, while 51,826 units of shares, representing 1.18% of the votes cast, voted against the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. The final director seeking a re-election is Mr. Folarin Williams. I hereby move that Mr. Folarin Williams be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Would someone please rise and second this motion?
I second that motion. My name is Esther Funke Augustine.
I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of the voting device given to you on arrival. The independent auditor will act as a scrutineer. I now invite the registrar to conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, voting starts now. Voting has ended. For the resolution to re-elect Mr. Folarin Williams as a director, the result of the poll is as follows: 3,199,201,884 units of shares, representing 98.82% of the votes cast, voted in favor of the resolution, while 38,051,826 units of shares, representing 1.18% of the votes cast, voted against the resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. On behalf of all the re-elected directors, we would like to profoundly thank all our shareholders for the confidence reposed in us to continue to serve as directors in our great company, and promise to continue to act in the best interests of the company. I now proceed with the confirmation of the appointment of the new director, Mr. Omobo Yede Olusoya, who joined the board of directors during the year. Mr. Olusoya's profile is set out on page 39 of the annual report and accounts. I hereby move that the appointment of Mr. Omobo Yede Olusoya be confirmed by shareholders. Would someone please rise and second this motion?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Saswani Wosu. I rise to second that motion.
I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of the voting device given to you on arrival. The independent auditor will act as the scrutineer. And I invite the registrar to conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, voting starts now. Voting has ended. For the resolution to confirm the appointment of Mr. Omoboyede Oyebolanle Olusoya as a director, The result of the poll is as follows: 3,201,012,585 units of shares, representing 98.88% of the votes cast, voted in favor of the resolution, while 36,277,826 units of shares, representing 1.12% of the votes cast, voted against the resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the independent auditor. KPMG Professional Services have acted satisfactorily as our independent auditors for the past year and are represented at this meeting by Mr. Mohammed Adama Patna. KPMG Professional Services have also indicated their willingness to continue as the company's independent auditors. Section 361, subsection 1B of CAMA requires that the remuneration be fixed by the company in general meeting or in such a manner as the company in general meeting may determine. Accordingly, I hereby move that the directors be and are hereby authorized to determine the remuneration of the auditors of the company, KPMG Professional Services. Will someone please rise and second the motion?
The Chairman, sir. I, Chief Timothy Adesina, so second. Thank you, sir.
I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of the voting device given to you on arrival. I now invite the registrar to conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, voting starts now. Voting has ended. For the resolution to authorize the directors to fix auditors' remuneration, the result of the poll is as follows: 3,243,845,076 units of shares, representing 100% of the votes cast, voted in favor of the resolution. There is no vote against this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results presented by the registrar, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is the election of the shareholders' representatives on the audit committee. In accordance with Section 359, subsection 4 of CAMA, members of the audit committee are subject to election annually. Section 359, subsection 5 requires that they be formally nominated. Accordingly, 42 valid nominations were received from the shareholders on the members to represent them in the audit committee. Okay. Accordingly, the valid nominees now being presented to you for election are as follows. I think the secretary can read out the names.
The names of the 42 valid nominees include Adesina Olalekan Oladepo, Tajuddin Tinubu Temiloluwa, Lawal Oluwa Hakim L, Lamina Sikiru Taiwo, Layenbi Karimo Mokbelola, Layenbi Kazim Adewale, Omotolani Mutiat, Karim Olalede, Mudashiru Usman, Kolawole Alabi, Ajani Olalekan, Giwa Olalekan, Jimo Rashidat, Amoekbere Joy, Aziz Bolahon, Aziz Ayike, Oladosu Adisa, Giwa Abiodun, Adeshola Niyilola, Saliu Remilekun, Alhaji Aziz Ogunbanwo, Shekoni Nuruddin Adebayo, Ajayi Oluwafemi Philip, Tajuddin Imram Adesina, Ajani Babajide Adetunji, Olusoji Adebola Idowu, Kujiya Olayiwola Yusuf, Adelekon Lukman Adeshola, Alao Samuel Akbade, Ige Gabriel Babashola, Olaitan Lukman Yusuf, Abbas Yakini Adeyemi, Giwa Sirajuddin Adisa, Ajibola Ajayi Olufunsho, Adebi David Olutunde, Ogbonaya Paul Oyegbula, Omotosho Azizat Alaide, Kazim Aminat Adenike, Sharifdin Mowa AA, Bakari Sharifat, Oyedele Abdulaziz Ademola Taiwo, Oyedele Nurat Adenike Ejide. Those are the 42, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Nobody withdrew.
You are to elect 3 of these 42 nominated shareholders to represent you in the audit committee. For the avoidance of doubt, please note that the voting shall be by a show of hands and not a poll. Thus, voting will be done by the shareholders and proxies here present. After the entire voting exercise, the results of the voting shall be announced by me. The independent auditor shall act as a scrutineer. I will now proceed with taking the votes. Will all those in favor of the election of Mr. Oh my God, it's a long list. Yeah, I think let me just do one, then you do the rest. So will all those in favor of the election of Mr. Adesina Olalekan Oladepo as a representative of the shareholders in the audit committee of the company, please signify by raising their right hands. Okay. The next person Will all those in favor of the election of Mr. Tajuddin Tinubu Temiloluwa as a representative of the shareholders in the audit committee of the company, please signify by raising their right hands. Would all those in favor of the election of Mr. Lawal Oluwa Hakim as a representative of the shareholders in the audit committee of the company, please signify by raising their right hands. Would all those in favor of the election of Mr. Lamina Sikiru Taiwo as a representative of the shareholders in the audit committee of the company, please signify by raising their right hands. Please, can you continue? Number 5.
The chairman is very strong, but I will eliminate the introduction and just go straight to the names. So we'll read, will all those in favor of the election of, that will be taken as read, then we'll just announce the name. So we'll go to number 5. Layebi Karimo Mokbelola. Will those in favor please raise their right hands? Will those in favor of Layebi Kazim Adewale, representing you at the audit committee, please raise their right hand? Will those in favor of Omotolani Adetou Layebi Mutiat please raise their right hand? Will those in favor of Karim Oladimeji Ololade please raise their right hand? Will those in favor of Mudashiru Akombi Usman please raise their right hand? Will those in favor of Kolawole Yekini Alabi please raise your right hand? Will those in favor of Ajani Rashid Olalekon please raise your right hand? Will those in favor of Giwa Ismaila Olalekon please raise your right hand? Will those in favor of Jimo Aduni Rashidat please raise your right hand? Will those in favor of Omokbare Victoria Joy please raise your right hand? Those in favor of Aziz Babatunde Bolahon please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Aziz Abolanle Ayike please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Oladosu Isikil Adisa please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Giwa Latif Abiodun please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Adeshola Selimot Niyilola, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Saliu Fusat Remilekun, please raise your hand. Those in favor of Alhaji Aziz Jimo Gubanwo, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Shekoni Nuruddin Adebayo, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Ajayi Oluwafemi Philip, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Tajuddin Imram Adeshino, please raise your right hand. Those in... Have you taken that? Those in favor of Ajani Babajide Adetunji, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Olusoji Adebola Idowu, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Kujenya Olayinwola Yusuf, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Adelekon Lukman Adeshola, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Alao Samuel Olakbade, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Ige Gabriel Babashola, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Olaiton Lukman Yusuf, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Abbas Yekini Adeyemi, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Giwa Sirajuddin Adisa, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Ajibola Ajayi Olufunsho, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Adebiyi David Olutunde, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Ogbonaya Paul Oyegbola, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Omotosho Azizat Olaide, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Kazim Aminat Adenike, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Sheriff Dean Mowa AA, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Bakari Sherifat, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Oyedele Abdulaziz Ademola Taiwo, please raise your right hand. Those in favor of Oyedele Nurat Adenike Ejide, please raise your right hand. Those are the nominees, Mr. Chairman.
Yep. Thank you for your patience. The scrutineer will next collect and verify the results, after which the results will be announced. Before the results of the voting are announced, it is my pleasure to inform you that the directors have elected the following 3 members to represent the board of directors in the audit committee of the company. Chief E.A. Okpabi, Mr. Folusho Phillips, and Alhaji Olaleko Saliu. Are the results ready? I now have the results of the voting carried out a few minutes ago, and I announce the results of the election as follows. Mr. Adeshina Olalekon Oladepo, 5 votes. Mr. Tajuddin Imran Adeshina, 5 votes. Mr. Shekoni Nuruddin Adebayo, 4 votes. I think the Reds did not have any vote at all, except Ajane Babajide Adetunji, who had only 1 vote. I therefore declare that the following members have been duly elected as representatives of the shareholders in the audit committee of the company. Mr. Adeshina Olaleko Oladepo, Mr. Tajuddin Imran Adeshina, and Mr. Shekoni Nuruddin Adebayo. The next set of items on the agenda are special businesses. Please be informed that as required by the Corporate Affairs Commission guidelines, the approval of the Corporate Affairs Commission was sought and obtained to conduct special businesses which require ordinary resolutions at this general meeting. The next item on the agenda is to fix the remuneration of the directors. As this item concerns me, it is my pleasure to call on the Group Managing Director, Mr. Paul Gbededo, to chair this part of the proceeding.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In accordance with Article 55 of the Articles of Association of the company, I hereby move that the director's fee of 200,000 per annum payable to each of the non-executive directors of the company and is hereby approved. Will someone please rise and second the motion?
The chairman, I so second. My name is Chief Timothy Adeshiyan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of the voting device given to you on arrival. The independent auditor will act as the scrutineer. I now invite the registrar to conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, voting starts now. Voting has ended. For the resolution to fix the remuneration of directors, the result of the poll is as follows: 3,237,195,733 units of shares, representing 100%, voted in favor of the resolution. There is no vote against this resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. And that concludes my assignment, and I now call on the chairman to continue with the proceedings. Mr. Chairman, please.
Thank you, GMD. Sorry, congratulations, okay.
Give me what I find on page 157. Page 157. I was waiting for, ordinarily I will have raised the observation before the voting, but I was waiting to see the result of the voting. I find that 100% approved, we paying you 200,000 naira. I'm not saying you should not, I'm not saying you should be paid with everything that the company has, but I think it would be a mockery of corporate governance if all you earned for director's fee is 200,000 naira. Yes, I know that you certainly will be paid sitting allowance. I will be asking that we should go back and review this. Even second-tier companies are paying their directors more than 200. Because if you don't pay you well, like I said, I'm not saying we should pack everything that Flour Mills has and put in your pocket as director's fee. But if we don't pay you well, I will not have a moral justification to come in here and take up directors. I don't think it is fair. That's my observation. And I want it on record, Mr. Chairman.
Your observation is noted by the company secretary. So it will be conveyed to the appropriate quarters. The next item on the agenda is special business, which is to consider and, if thought fit, pass the following resolution being proposed as an ordinary resolution. I now call on the company secretary to read the resolutions. The company secretary to read the resolution as contained in the notice to the annual general meeting.
The resolution is to renew the resolution on the general mandate of shareholders to the company to enter into recurrent transactions with related parties. It's actually Resolution 6.
I hereby move that the Resolution 6 on the notice of this meeting, as read by the Company Secretary, seeking to renew the resolution of the general mandate of the shareholders, enabling the company to enter into recurrent transactions with related parties, be and is hereby approved. Will someone please rise and second the motion?
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion. Boniface Okezie.
Thank you. I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of the voting device given to you on arrival. The independent auditor will act as a scrutineer. And I invite the registrar to conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished shareholders, voting starts now. Voting has ended. For the resolution to renew the resolution on the general mandate of shareholders to the company to enter into recurrent transactions with related parties, the result of the poll is as follows: 3,211,493,597 units of shares, representing 100% of the votes cast, voted in favor of this resolution. There is no vote against this resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Distinguished fellow shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, we've dealt with a formal business, and I would like to thank you on behalf of the board for your continuing interest in the company's affairs. I urge you to, in view of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, continue to practice social distancing and other advised safety measures in order to keep healthy. I wish you a safe journey back to your various destinations. I now declare this meeting closed. We can wait for the national anthem.
Can we have the national anthem, please?
Thank you all. Thank you.